Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. This is Sho bringing you another guide from Monarch. This time we're going to be talking a bit about the alter ego system and how that all works. Honestly, it's not going to be too long because it's pretty straightforward, and I'm sure it makes perfect sense if you checked out my previous attack review and things like that. But what I will be talking about is, in this video a little bit later, something a little bit more spoilerish, as there is one specific alter ego that's only accessible through sort of a slightly spoilerish but kind of convoluted way to get the information. Now with that said, let's jump in and talk about the alter ego system to begin with. Basically, alter egos are little crystals that exist throughout the school that you can unlock once you find someone's information in their profile. So as we see here, the profiles is sort of like a student record, and you have three categories: students, staff, and other, being off to the side here. And what we got going on is, if you see right here, these three guys are pretty clear examples. There's a little like diamond crystal sort of thing there. Basically what happens is if you collect their information, which you do just by talking to them in the overworld during when you're exploring the school, what it will do is it will unlock a corresponding crystal somewhere in the school campus that you'll be able to collect. The way to collect this crystal is just by approaching him, hitting the action button, whatever that may be for whatever console you're playing on, and then you'll be presented with a prompt either saying you need to have a minimum ego stat to collect. Usually these run in the ranges of, I would say, 200 I think is around the lowest, with up to 400 being the highest I've seen. I think maybe one of them goes up about 500 or so. So the aforementioned guide I popped out regarding the personality quizzes as well as how the ecosystem works can kind of help you get a better idea on how to increase your stats in order to collect these. The main reason that you want to be collecting these is pretty straightforward and simple. Each alter ego you collect from any of these characters basically grants you additional permanent stat buffs for your entire party. Now these actually work, I guess, retroactively, so to speak. So if you are sort of in the beginning of the game and you collect one of these egos, any new characters joining you will automatically have those stat buffs given to them upon their entrance into the party. So you don't have to worry about waiting until the end game to get these or trying to collect them all at the beginning. Honestly, you should get them as soon as you can, when you can, because they do offer really good stat bonuses in general that you'll need to progress through the game. So, with that said, let's talk about the spoiler stuff now, which is basically the hidden student profile. Now, there are 106 students in the school here, and there are 13 faculty, all of which basically just do the same thing by talking to them. But under the others category, there are three special profiles. One of them is going to be based on, of course, Vanitas. One of them is a protagonist, or sorry, an antagonist you'll deal with later in the game. But there is one extra profile, and this is where we're getting into slight spoiler territory. So I'm going to give a quick, maybe 5-second countdown now. If you don't want to know who this is, I would suggest probably making it to at least Act 3 in order to not be spoiled by this. But yeah, if you go through the game the first time, or you're in late Act 2, Act 3, it should be much of a spoiler. Anyway, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, right here. This is the spoiler category, and it is Mitsuru Hasegawa. So, if you have played through the main campaign, you know that Kakeru-sensei is Hasegawa Kakeru. This is his sister. And you basically you sort of get all the information for this towards, I guess, the latter half of Act 1, beginning of Act 2. Now, this right here, in order to unlock, is a little bit convoluted, because obviously, this is the big part of the spoiler, she's dead. So, how do we get her? Simply put, you will need to collect her student ID number, which is listed, as you see on the screen right now. That's 228894910. You'll come across this in the game when you visit the old student school building, where there's actually a tombstone in memory of past students who had been killed due to sort of the experiments going on in the school. Hers is the, I think, top entry. So if you make a note of that number. That's going to be important. Next, and this is where things get a little bit more convoluted. In the second year school building, on the 3rd floor, there are 2 PC rooms. The second PC room, which is the one I'm standing in right now, you'll be in here during the main quest in order to solve sort of a mini puzzle. However, if you actually check around here, there's a bit of information hanging out. For example, that's like the one you need to actually clear the actual challenge of the level. But there's a computer here that you can use, and you'll be asked to put in an ID, and you'll be asked to put in a password. Now, the ID for all the students is their student ID number. You learn this fairly early on when you're doing these puzzles. So take the student ID number that I had just read out, which is Mitsuru's, and punch that into the ID section. Her password is by default their last name, which should, sorry, not default their last name. Her password is actually her brother's first name, so Kakeru. So if you punch here in the ID section 2288949110, and then in the password you type in Kakeru in English characters, then it will unlock her student profile inside of your profile section right here. So then you'll be able to see a bit of her background information, kind of giving a little bit more information about her, and this goes into all of Kakeru's main story. From here, you need to collect her alter ego, because obviously it says that she has one. Now, I've obviously collected all of the alter egos in the game, but hers is actually in a pretty straightforward location. It's in the nurse's office. Now, I actually took a screen cap of this because I had a feeling I would need to do this when I first came across it when I was playing. So I'll put the screen cap up probably right around now, hopefully around now. Anyway, you'll find the alter ego right there on the desk, as you can see in the picture. Just collect it and you'll get your stat boost, and that will probably be the only profile that you will have sort of any trouble looking at. So everyone else is just straightforward. Talk to them, and then you can find their alter egos in the overworld. But in order to get Kakeru's sister, you'll need to get her student ID from the gravestone in the old school area. Then you'll need to punch in her student ID, which is on the gravestone, as well as Kakeru, which is her brother's first name, as her password. Then from there, you will unlock her profile information in your profiles, and you can go to the nurse's office, and you'll find an alter ego floating right here on the desk. And that is all. Anyway, that's all for this quick little guide here. I hope it was helpful and maybe a bit informative on how to get things done. So if it was, feel free to like, drop a comment down below if you have any questions. And yeah, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps. And it's obviously my way of feeling your love, so thank you for sending your love. Anyway, this is Sho, and I will catch you next time. Cheers!